you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Finally, the weekend. You have done it, North Mississippi, and you're in for a great forecast as we head into that weekend time frame. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor here for Mississippi Live Weather at 10. And yes, that's one of the highlights that we're getting into as we look at our headlines. But speaking of highlights, we have our highlights from our electric game of the week tonight, an overtime battle you have to see to believe down there in Columbus. Ethan Foster shot those highlights for us, and we'll be able to air them here at the 10 o'clock hour. I'm sure that's what a lot of us are here to see, so bear with me. They'll be coming up as the show goes on. A bit of a dip in our temperatures as we head through our Saturday, but trust me, things are warming up, and go ahead and get the shorts ready for next week. Well, that might be an extreme, but going ahead and letting you know it's going to be much warmer as we get into next week. That bit of a dip is only a bit because it definitely expands as we get into that extended forecast. Now, so take a look at that first 12. Before we get there, I do want to take a note in our fourth headline, and that is a huge deal now being put out for Mississippians that are still recovering from that winter storm. This was a press release put out by FEMA earlier on, and they announced that the federal disaster assistance is available to the state of Mississippi to supplement recovery efforts in the areas affected by the severe winter storm on January 23rd through 27th, back just a couple of weeks ago. Federal funding is available to state, tribal, and eligible local governments and certain private nonprofit organizations on a cost-sharing basis for emergency work and the repair of replacement of facilities damaged by the severe winter storm for all public assistance categories, including direct federal assistance in Alcorn, Bolivar, Calhoun, Carroll, Grenada, Holmes, Humphreys, Issaquena, LaFleur, Montgomery, Sharkey, Sunflower, Warren, Washington, Webster, and Yazoo counties, and the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. Federal funding is also available for emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance in Adams, Atala, Benton, Claiborne, Coahoma, DeSoto, Hines, Jefferson, Lafayette, Lee, Marshall, Panola, Pontotoc, Prentiss, Quitman, Tallahatchie, Tate, Tippah, Tishomingo, Tunica, Union, and Yalobusha counties. Now, additional designations may be made at a later date if warranted by the result of damage assessments. But guys, this is a $39.1 million sum of money that's coming to North Mississippi to help with those aided reliefs. As you know, there's still a lot of folks that are dealing with those recovery efforts even 2 weeks later. Guys, what a difference 2 weeks can make, because right now there's still 15,000 outages, but we were talking about hundreds of thousands of outages across North Mississippi. And the fact that 2 weekends ago we were talking about a winter storm, and this weekend we're talking about temperatures in the 60s shows that ever-changing forecast in Mississippi, and at least now we're changing for the better, and that should definitely help with recovery efforts into the weekend, but so will that press release, and we are very grateful to have that here in North Mississippi, and hopefully that can give us a sense of normalcy as we head into the next couple of weeks. The first 12, let's go ahead and bring it back to the forecast, because I told you it's going to be a good one. We're 40 degrees by 11, back into the mid-30s by 2 a.m., and look at your morning commute. It's going to be cold, similar to what we had during our Friday morning, but these northerly breezes, that's going to allow for a bit of a chill in those low temperatures that we'll see here in just a moment. As we look at those power outages, though, with this cold forecast in place, this is where it becomes more of a danger because of those outages that are still in place across North Mississippi. I mean, we're still talking about, well, bear with me, I'll have to go behind the scenes here for this, but as we look at some of those outages, we're talking well over 1,000 in some spots still 2 weeks later. I'm gonna have to pull it up right here. Let's just populate in a few of these totals. So 2,000 Panola, 900 Tallahatchie, 2,000 Yalobusha, 3,000 there in Lafayette, 500 Marshall, 500 in around Benton. Union County still with 700. We're 100 in Pontotoc, Tippah County still at 3,000 and Tishomingo still about 1,500. Now, in summary, this is about 15,000 outages, and I told you that's a much better outlook than what we were seeing 2 weeks ago, and that number continues to go down, fortunately, as we head into the weekend and really into parts of next week. Those linemen out working hard, and we are so grateful for them here in North Mississippi, but do note that for those that are still without power, it is going to be another cold night. So warming shelters are still available for folks that are without power. We're currently 43 Corinth, Iuka, 42 Holly Springs, 40 around Tunica, 50 Clarksdale, 50 Greenwood, 50 Kosciuszko, and those temperatures dwindling overnight. So feeling very similar to what we had this morning, but luckily that warming trend that has been happening, we're still feeling the effects of it. So still a mild forecast during those overnight hours, but while it does look like an absurd difference, our temperatures are actually going to drop significantly Saturday morning to where they feel similar to what we had for the start of our Friday. Low temperatures, here's a look at your Saturday morning. We're talking upper 20s and low 30s across North Mississippi, but then things get better, at least beyond our Saturday forecast, things will get better. The reason why we're seeing this dip is if we look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar, you can see how this cold front has extended further south, and back behind it, we're getting a high pressure system, a dominant ridging pattern moving over the top of North Mississippi. And although that high is well out there towards Colorado, we are getting these northerly winds getting all the way into North Mississippi from the continental air, and that continental air up there towards Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota. All of that is much colder than where things are down south. And as that air moves over the top of North Mississippi, it will be dry, but it will be cold. But fortunately, it does not last for long. As we track out on Futurecast a little bit of the movement of that high pressure center, it will show that difference as we get into those overnight hours. Again, that high pressure center out there towards Colorado will remain pretty still, but this high pressure up there towards Iowa and Minnesota, that's going to dip a little bit further south, and that's going to cause that shift in the wind. So by Saturday morning, we're still seeing a northerly wind going to cause a bit of a chill, and of course that cold air is overhead. But as this high pressure center starts to move a little bit more towards the east, those winds start to shift, become more of an easterly flow, meaning not getting that dominant cold air. And so as that shift starts to happen, we'll see some of the more mild temperatures back into the forecast and be able to enjoy that for our Sunday. So not far away, it's just a brief time frame that we're dipping to that those below average temperatures. But as you can see, we're going to be cold throughout the day, freezing to start, 49 degrees as we top out by the afternoon. But not everything is bad, because the sunshine is going to continue to dominate our forecast, and we are very fortunate to be in this dry pattern, and we're not taking it for granted whatsoever, especially for a weekend forecast. It's great timing to enjoy these great conditions, but by Super Bowl Sunday, we're definitely going to see a super Sunday with those temperatures climbing and the sunshine returning. But guys, this is just the highlight in the forecast. We do have some highlights from our Mississippi Live Game of the Week down in Columbus, and that starts with our Spirit Squad. Let's go ahead and give them a listen.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
And that was our fan section of the week. Shout out to the Spirit Squad. Shout out to the fans. Brought the energy tonight for Ingomar. And did it make all the difference? We'll find out here in just a moment as we go over those full game highlights. But a big thank you to Ethan and Matt for providing all those highlights down there. Looked like a fantastic time. Definitely feel like I missed out from the game, but hey, I'll get to experience it here in a moment with you guys as we air those highlights. But let's go ahead and look at this weekend with the highlights when it comes to the forecast. 49 degrees Saturday, but 60 degrees on Sunday. So while it is a brief step back, you get that fast break going into the future. And of course, that's going to start on our Sunday, heating up quickly. And it's going to be a good time out there here, or I should say here in North Mississippi. We are seeing the effects of that cold front over the top of North Mississippi right now as you get this high pressure center moving in that's providing that colder air like we talked about just a moment ago. I mean, if you look at these temperatures, we're talking upper 40s Tupelo, mid 50s towards Arkansas, 49 degrees Jackson, 56 degrees New Orleans, but then 39 in Nashville. And that cold air is continuing to dip further south, and we'll see that gradually build in more and more during those overnight hours. Where we're seeing that across the Tennessee state line, we're 44 towards Ripley, 44 in Iuka, 49 Tupelo, and then 53 in Louisville. So from top to bottom here in North Mississippi, we're seeing a 10-degree swing, but this colder air will continue to move south into the Highway 82 area, and of course going to be a cold start to our Saturday once again. If we look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar, continues to stay clear. Again, a positive with this forecast, allowing those linemen and women to get out there and fix those outages that are still in place, still around 15,000, and we're hopeful that when we come back to the forecast on Monday after Caleb has come up and he's head back to school Monday morning, we're hopeful that that number is very limited, if not gone. Hey, we can be optimistic, but definitely those linemen and women are hard at work trying to get everything back to normal. Our day planner for tonight, midnight, 39 degrees, 35 by 3, and 32 degrees by 6 a.m. Clear skies still in the forecast, allowing for that heat to escape, and that's why those temperatures are so cold once again Saturday morning. Along with that, those northerly winds providing a bit of a chill, as we'll see here in just a moment, but nonetheless, it's a cold forecast, so if you have not already, maybe getting to a warming center might be your best option tonight if you are still without power and without a way of getting power. We want you guys to stay warm. And with freezing temperatures still in the forecast, it does still pose that threat. So as we head overnight, those breezy conditions from the north continue to drive in that colder air, and that'll continue to build in during that Saturday morning commute if you're waking up early enough, or just if you're looking to get that cup of coffee and start your day off early. It's just going to be a cold forecast. 30 degrees New Albany, 30 around Houston, 33 Columbus, 32 Kosciuszko, and 34 Belzona and Greenwood. But let's factor in that wind chill, and you'll see a bit of a dip in those temperatures with mid-20s along the Tennessee state line, upper 20s here in Lee County, low 30s Starkville, Eupora, mid-30s around Grenada. So it just depends on where you're at, but nonetheless, those winds will cause a little bit of an effect when we're talking about the cooler air in our forecast. The fortunate thing with our forecast, I'll re-emphasize it once again, is high pressure is the theme. High pressure providing us that colder northerly wind, but it's also providing us with these dry conditions. So despite a little bit of this cloud cover moving in, and this is honestly what we'd expect to be cirrus clouds because you can see how it has that diagonal alignment, doesn't exactly show us that it's going to be dense. Those are going to be high up in the atmosphere, not posing any threat to our sunshine. But as we get into the forecast, those clouds not bringing any rainfall, we're staying dry, and even those a little bit of cirrus clouds that we're seeing clear on out, and we're going to be left with plenty of sunshine during our Saturday afternoons. So picture perfect. It's picture perfect today. Let's go ahead and make it 2 days of it. As we get into our Saturday, the only thing is you may want to grab an extra layer if you are trying to enjoy these great conditions. High temperatures on your Saturday, like I mentioned, a bit of a step back. There's your basketball reference. 47 degrees South Haven, Boonville, Red Bay, 50 degrees Tupelo, 53 Eupora, 55 Kosciuszko. But this is the coldest it'll be over the next 7 days. And that's the positive with this forecast is the last bit of cold air for at least the next several days. That's not a bad thing. So as we get into our Saturday night, a few clouds working their way through North Mississippi, but again, it's going to be little to none. So it's staying dry, and that high pressure center continues to dominate our skies. But look at the winds. We saw a northerly wind earlier on. Now as we work overnight, it's starting to become more of an easterly wind. What that means is it's not continuing to cycle in that colder northern air. It's going to be more uniform across the board. So it will be cold Sunday morning, but it is cycling in that warmer air for us to enjoy on the back end of our Sunday. So as we get towards those Sunday morning low temperatures, don't be surprised. It is going to be another cold start, so have those layers on standby. We're talking upper 20s around Boonville, Iuka, and Corinth. Same thing around Lee County and Tupelo, Amory, Houston, 29 Columbus. But the further west we go, 34 Greenwood, 33 Cleveland, 31 Tunica, and 32 around South Haven. So it is going to see those cold temperatures persist, but then things get better. Yes. Good news is coming. As we take a look at the wind chill, not going to be as much of a factor, not going to be overly breezy in our forecast, but the potential for a degree or two difference, not impossible, as we factor in that wind chill. Here's the good news. Let's go ahead and zoom things out because there's not going to be much to track in our skies. It's going to be that atmospheric pattern that we need to track, and that's going to be that high pressure shifting out there towards our east, or should I say northeast. And as it does, it'll kind of cycle in this southerly flow into North Mississippi, building back that warmer air and even a little bit of moisture, not impossible. So as we get into our mid-morning Sunday, those temperatures will be climbing, or should I say surging, as we get into the forecast because of the difference from start to finish. So by the lunchtime hours, we'll already be pretty comfortable. I'm not going to say you might be able to shed that extra layer, but it will be a noticeable difference as you go to church and when you get out of church. As we get into that mid-afternoon forecast, you do see there is potential of a little bit of moisture out there towards Texas and Louisiana. That's where that moisture is a little bit more defined, whereas here in North Mississippi, we're going to take a bit to reestablish that moisture over the top of us. So while showers are in Futurecast, I'm not sure I'm certainly sold on this reaching the surface. I think a lot of this does remain more elevated, and if it does reach the surface, we're talking a drizzle. It's not going to be anything too major. So as we get into those evening hours, this is the story. Warm temperatures return pretty quickly. We're talking over a 48-hour span. We'll get those 60s back. 61 Holly Springs, New Albany, and Tupelo. 64 Houston and Bruce. 66 Grenada, Kosciuszko, and 64 down around Macon. So feeling much better. And this is just the start of that warming trend. Things definitely going to be climbing into next week, as we'll see right here on that low temperature trend. You can see how it's cold Sunday morning, but by Monday, we're in the low 40s, low 50s there by Tuesday and Wednesday, and we remain pretty mild into the latter part of the week as well. So pretty consistent across the board. But then we get to our high temperatures and look at the change that we will see day after day. It's cold Saturday, warmer Sunday, dare I say spring-like on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That warmer air surging into the area, and the only reason why it's dipping into Thursday and Friday is because we do have our frontal system pushing into North Mississippi, but nonetheless, that's a good forecast. That's one that you don't see too often in the early days of February. So we're grateful for it, especially coming off the forecast we had at the end of January. And if you missed it, they did declare that there is going to be a disaster, what's the word I'm looking for? Disaster relief, there's what I'm looking for. That was declared $39.1 million coming to the Magnolia State, and that's going to help with anyone that's still dealing with the effects of that winter storm. So that's a huge headline, one that I hope that you take advantage of if you are still dealing with some of those hardships, and especially those 15,000 people that are without power tonight. Again, bundle up. It is going to be a cold next couple of mornings, but by Monday and into next week, warmer temperatures are going to be the key to our forecast. Potential of a shower here, shower there, Tuesday night into Wednesday, but our best chance of rainfall will be by Friday. And still that timing, something we need to fine tune, and I know our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will do exactly that into the weekend of fine tuning the time frame that we will see those showers and storms. One model saying Friday, another model saying Saturday. We're more on Friday just because of the consistency that has been there. But how that plays out through the weekend, that's what Caleb will be tracking in more detail. And of course, he'll provide that for you here in the Room to Room Weather Center. All right, folks, it is time. Are you ready for our game of the week that was down in Columbus tonight? And it was a fantastic matchup, one that I know you guys are going to enjoy. So let's go ahead and get into those highlights. Down in Columbus for our game of the week. Last game of the season for Ingomar and West Lowndes, who played each other on Tuesday night 3 days ago. Ingomar won that first matchup, but would they be able to do it on the road in Panther Country? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Teams, of course, hyped for the matchup. West Lowndes on Aquarius Outlaw. Eurostep, layup, good. 2 points for West Lowndes. They absolutely dominated the first half of this game and made Ingomar look helpless. Aquarius Outlaw out here with that Euro step. West Lowndes, Eli Sanders, inside basket is good. Big fella showing up and showing out. West Lowndes has a senior by the name of Eli Sanders, and he is an absolute giant, showing off the strength right there. Of course, West Lowndes keeping that domination going. Three-pointer. off the mark, but that gets outside. Of course, kick it outside once again. Hey, second time's a charm. Bucket is good. 3 points for West Lowndes. That's missed by Tyrone Scales, but made by Traylon Jefferson. Of course, cheerleaders have plenty to cheer about for that first half as West Lowndes dominated in dominating fashion. What can I say? 35-29. As we get into the second half, Ingomar Cooper ball layup. Ingomar got their first lead of the game on this basket with a minute left in the third period. Storming back to take the lead. Cooper ball knows ball. I mean, makes sense, right? Ingomar JoJo Petty, coast-to-coast layup. That man makes this nice play here. He'll be very important here in a little bit, so make sure to stay tuned as we track out the rest of this second half. Hustle play right here. Crazy out-of-bounds save. Damian Knox gets the ball. We'll hear in a second. He gets the ball back. The man who made the save gets that right hook easy off the window. It is good. 2 points for Ingomar. And that 2 points was key to the comeback, keeping that lead. Great fight, great hustle. And currently, West Lowndes is down 2. Ingomar inbound right here. Travel called. A little bit of questionable play right there. Was he shoved? I don't know. But it's a chance for West Lowndes late. West Lowndes, Eli Sanders gets his rebound back. Big fella taking over. No one can handle him in the post. Ties it late for West Lowndes, and the Panthers tie the game with Ingomar. As we get later into the game, Ingomar's JoJo Petty right here. 1 point lead for Ingomar. He gets the ball right here on a heave. My word, what a pass. What a dime. Gets the layup and one. Flex those muscles, young fella. That is showing up when it counts. And one layup is made. Seals the game with 10 seconds remaining in overtime. Strong reaction right there. Remember when we said JoJo Petty would come back to haunt the Panthers? Well, there it is right there. That was a basket that won the game. Unfortunately, this shot coming up, just short. So West Lowndes falls again to Ingomar, and the Falcons come out once again on top. That's 2-0 against West Lowndes this week and ending the season strong with that final game of the season. Unfortunately for the Panthers, they are going into the postseason on a losing streak, but hopefully they can get that back as they head into the postseason. But what an absolutely thrilling game to finish the regular season. These teams played each other twice this week. Who could have called a barn burner and overtime finish like that? Absolutely incredible. And shout out both teams for showing up and showing out. Guys, that was our last week of the regular season, and I can't imagine a better matchup to cover. The Falcons taking this one, going up 2-0 against West Lowndes this week. But West Lowndes, you did not just give up. You fought back and fought hard. If you had a second half like the first half, that's all the difference it would have needed. But both teams should be heading into the postseason looking for high aspirations there in 1A play. So I hope that you guys are excited about that. I know we are. We're going to keep that coverage going into the postseason. So keep it here at Mississippi Live Weather for all of that coverage in more detail. Hey, we do weather. We also like to dabble in sports just a bit. Of course, our next show is going to be at 6 and 10 on your Saturday with meteorologist Caleb Edelblut. Make sure to download that free app today in order to keep up with that coverage, and he'll have the full temperature breakdown and the good news ahead. Hey, fitting. Good news heading into Sunday, right? Well, that broadcast schedule, not applicable to our weekend, but we are live at 6 and 10 with Caleb. Don't forget to miss out on that. It's going to be on Saturday and Sunday. And then as we get into the work week, our normal schedule resumes 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley and Chief Meteorologist Matt Laughlin and I at 5, 6, and 10 on your weekdays. Can't wait to get back and talk the latest on this forecast, especially heading into next week. It'll be a lot of good news and unfortunately a few rain chances we got to track as well. But all of that will be in the extended forecast. Enjoy the beautiful weekend ahead. Guys, we will see you later. Have a fantastic night.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious when he began to discover weather. Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.